I am going to be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. Remember that.
Donald Trump crushed the opposition in New Hampshire. He has regained his spot atop the GOP, and if everybody was smart, they'd all just go home. Hand the ticket to the Donald, get on with the business of beating up on either the soon-to-be-convicted, the creaky socialist, or that lurking Veep in the corner who seems ready to pounce if asked. Therein may be some conventional thinking. We are anything but conventional on this show. Because when you boil it down, shouldn't the person seeking to lead the greatest country in the world be subjected to the harshest possible criticism and examination to see if they can take the heat? This one's going to be interesting. Welcome back, the political analyst, Reagan biographer, presidential historian, and New York Times best-selling author, Craig Shirley. All right, Craig, there you go. I dropped all the red meat right there on the plate to go ahead and start. But let's start with the words that I put out here just a couple of minutes ago. Everybody go home. Chris Christie, he's out today. It's all over. Everybody else forget Donald Trump has won it. All right, Craig. Let's breathe. We got a long way to go, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, you know, in 1980, everybody harkens back to 1980 and the Reagan nomination, but the fact of the matter is that George, then Ambassador Bush, George H.W. Bush, didn't drop out until June. And I suspect now with more states with proportional representation, I suspect we're going to go a lot longer now. There's still a lot of candidates in the field. There's still a lot of issues that need to be vetted. There's still a long way to go. So, and don't forget too, is that yes, Trump won last night, but on the other hand, 68% of Republican primary voters chose to vote against Donald Trump.
Now wait a minute. Let's go ahead and sit right there because there's the next part of all this. We still have, as you pointed out, a lot of candidates. Isn't it fair to say that if that establishment, that inside the Beltway group, if they want to beat Donald Trump, they have got to pare this field down as soon as possible. They've got to jettison the people who have no chance to win. They have got to coalesce behind that one person that can put up the best run against Trump. Yes?
No, I think.
Okay, well, there you go. My political knowledge is right out the window. That's it. I've been shown the door.
No, I agree with you, but I think that the establishment has changed, or at least the dynamics of the outside Republican Party. The inside Republican Party remains the same. The establishment remains the same. It's the outside party that would have changed so dramatically. For somebody to be Donald Trump is not going to be run as an establishment candidate. It's going to have to be as a more anti-establishment, more Reagan-esque, more populist, more anti-insider candidate than he is currently. And so that's going to be the trick for Ted Cruz or John Kasich in the next couple weeks and months.
All right. Now, but wouldn't it make more sense, though, Craig? I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fight you on this one, though. Wouldn't it make more sense because you've got all these votes sitting out there? Put one person. Pick the one that is the strongest. Everybody gets behind him. Wouldn't a lot of those votes, not all of them, of course, but a lot of those votes follow and make for the only way to beat Donald Trump at this point?
Well, don't forget, in the last couple of days, Ed, is that both Jimmy Carter and Bob Dole, both savvy political operatives their entire lives, both said they preferred Donald Trump because they could see their parties making deals with Donald Trump and not with, say, Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. So right there, I think that there's a real sliver of brilliant insight in that Trump really is an establishmentarian and less a populist and less a conservative revolutionary. And there's an opening for a candidate against Cruz, or against Trump.
You and I are going to keep talking about this as the weeks go on. I got a few minutes left here. I want to get a couple of things in here. First of all, you mentioned John Kasich. Now, finished second in New Hampshire. At a town hall, there was a voter that needed help deciding between Hillary, Bernie, and John Kasich. Here's how Governor Kasich then responded to that voter.
Hillary's too brittle, and Bernie's way out here on the extreme. I'm the right porridge. One of them is too hot, the other one's too cold, but I got the right temperature.
Now, Craig, part of that porridge is, even the New York Times said it, that part of John Kasich's problem is that liberals like him. And you'll have a lot of people who will tell you that John Kasich is really a closet liberal if you look closely at his record. What do you think, yes or no?
No, he might get the support of the New York Times, but I'm sure he didn't ask for it. I've studied John Kasich's record. I've only met the man once, many years ago, but you know, he was a very conservative member of Congress, had a lifetime, very high ACU rating his entire life. He was a very conservative governor, pro-life, cut taxes, cut the budget, cut corruption, pork and fat. He's been very conservative, and if he's smart, he'll start exploiting that and start getting to, if possible, to Donald Trump's populist conservative right, with his record as governor and as a congressman.
So anybody who calls him a liberal is really whistling in the wind and just trying to make up discussion, right?
Sure, I think they're really
wrong.
just trying to stir the pot. Sometimes pundits talk, but they don't make a lot of sense.
All right, now I've got a little bit more than a minute left here. Ted Cruz's campaign released an attack ad on Donald Trump, which might be one of the strangest things I think I've ever seen. Here's a portion of it.
Look, I got the Trump action figure. No way, it's huge. What does he do? He pretends to be a Republican. I like bailouts for the banks. Too big to fail. I gave money to Pelosi, Reed, and Anthony Weiner. I'm gonna take your house with eminent domain and park my limos there. Eminent domain!
Greg, I only got 30 seconds left, but first of all, they got his hair color wrong, and second of all, how many people will even care about eminent domain? Is this going to work?
I think it's quite entertaining, and entertainment.
Well, yes.
Half the battle in politics is just to get people's attention and force them to listen. So, we're talking about it, so there must be something to it. I think it's going to resonate.
I'm just telling you, the only thing that catches me immediately is I am a stickler for details, Craig. You got to get his hair right. Brown hair doesn't work, and it's just not as good as those of us with hair would like it to be. Of
course.
I'm
sure they're gonna hear this interview and they're gonna go back and remix the commercial.
I want to see that. I want to see them paint that hair by the time they're done. Craig, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Hey, let me ask you, the audience now. You saw that commercial right now. Do you think it'll work? Is Ted Cruz onto something here? And what do you think about the GOP having to coalesce and get behind one guy if they want to beat Donald Trump? You tell us what it's like on social media. We'll talk about it right here, always, as we do in the Hardline. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news continues right after this.